Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Welcome once again to Fusion Mobile e-learning platform. My name is OK Buno, and the subject before us is agricultural science. In this lesson, we'll be treating the topic Principles of Animal Health Management. And the subheadings to be considered under this topic are meaning and causes of livestock disease, factors responsible for disease, and then we'll look at the various types of diseases: the viral disease, the bacterial disease, the fungal disease, the protozoa disease. And then we'll go on to look at livestock parasites, methods of disease prevention. We'll end the topic. Now, what do we mean by disease? Just like the word sounds, dis-ease, when the body is not at ease. So, a disease is a state of abnormality in the body of the animal or the livestock. Disease is a deviation from the normal functioning of the body. It can be in the tissue, it can be in an organ, it can be in a system, it can be in the entire body of the animal. So, disease is something, once again, that is a deviation, okay, from the normal functioning of the body of the animal. Then let's look at the factors, okay, that could predispose an animal to diseases. Good. Now, before we proceed, okay, let's quickly look at the meaning of disease. Just like the name sounds, disease, dis-ease, that is, when the normal functioning of the body is no longer as it should be, okay? The state of functioning of the body has been altered, so the body is no longer at ease. So we say dis-ease, or the body is diseased, okay? Now, diseases can be caused by virus, it can be caused by bacteria, it can be caused by fungi, it can be caused by protozoa, it can as well be caused by malnutrition, okay? These are some causes of diseases, or some things that could cause a body to become dysfunctional, okay? Now, let's quickly look at the factors, okay, that are responsible or that could predispose an animal or a livestock to diseases. One of them is nutrition. Nutrition is key, okay? If the animal is not well fed, it is only expected that such an animal will become diseased or diseased, or will become predisposed to diseases. Now, sanitation, where the animal is kept, how neat, how tidy. If it's a litter, do you change it? If it's a house, do you disinfect? Do you clean? So these are certain things that are very necessary. Without them, the animals could become predisposed to diseases. Now, management. Management of the farm or the farmyard is also key in making sure that the animals are kept away from diseases. Okay, now breed of animals. Some breed of animals are rather, let's say, weak. That is why a lot of the times we talk about crossbreeding, okay? That is getting a stronger breed or a more potent breed and crossing it with weaker breeds so that the offsprings can be better, stronger, and more resistant to diseases and pests. And then unfavorable climatic conditions is another factor, okay, that could predispose animals to diseases. We know that during winter, for instance, we see certain birds especially hibernate, or certain animals, they migrate to warmer climate regions. So some animals that do not have that capacity to move the long distances, okay, away from unfavorable climatic conditions will be predisposed to diseases. In that case, what does the farmer do? The farmer simply creates an ambience or an environment that is still good enough for those animals to, okay, keep staying there, since they don't have to migrate or move away from that very environment. Now we'll go on to look at the various diseases: the viral disease, the bacterial disease, the fungal diseases, and the protozoa diseases. This is disease type, causative agent, and the various list of diseases under each heading. We have viral disease. Of course, the viral diseases are caused by viruses, or the viral disease is caused by a virus. The bacterial disease is caused by bacteria. The fungal disease is caused by fungi, and the protozoa disease is caused by protozoa. Now, looking at the viral diseases, we have three of them that mainly affect our farm animals or livestock. The first is the foot and mouth disease. The second is the rinderpest or cattle plague. And the third is Newcastle disease. Now, the foot and mouth disease. How do you know that your animal has been affected by foot and mouth disease? That is the symptoms. What are the symptoms of foot and mouth disease? The symptom is, the basic symptom is you begin to see blisters, okay, in the mucous membranes of the nose, the mouth, and around the hoofs of the animals. You start to see blisters, inflammations, and of course the animal begins to lose weight. The animal begins to lose appetite, and then it could lead to death of the animal. And which animals are affected under this category? The cattle, sheep, goat, cows, they are affected. The rinderpest or cattle plague, of course, just like the name sounds, cattle plague. Cattle are affected also. The goats, the sheep, the cows, they are affected. And this very disease, you begin to see that the animal's stool, that is mixed with blood. That is, the stool of the animal is mixed with blood. In fact, diarrhea is one of the basic symptoms. And then, of course, you begin to see that the animal is losing appetite also. Now, talking about the Newcastle disease. The Newcastle disease is a disease of poultry, disease of farm birds, the guinea fowls, the chickens, the turkeys. They suffer from the Newcastle disease. This Newcastle disease, just like we said, is caused by virus. And how do you know that the chicken has been affected by the Newcastle disease? You start to see your chicken, for instance, begins to walk, you know, the nervous condition is in disarray. The chicken is disoriented. Sometimes they can even, as they are walking, see them, they'll somersault. You see them, you know, they'll be moving in circles. That is Newcastle disease. Now, how do you take care of animals that have been affected? Constant vaccination. The animals that are affected should be secluded, that is, removed from the rest of the animals, and of course, proper sanitations. These very, this applies to all the others, okay? Now, this method, okay, of control applies to all these diseases, okay? Secluding the affected animals, constant vaccination, and of course, proper sanitation. I may not mention it again. It's all inclusive. And talking about transmission also, transmission could be through feeding, could be through the feces of the animals as they discharge and they make body contacts and all of that. So basically the mode of transmission is basically the same for all the diseases, as well as the method of control. Now, what we are basically concerned about is the various diseases and their symptoms at this stage. So the next disease is the bacterial disease caused by bacteria. Yes, the first on our list of bacterial diseases is anthrax, caused by the bacteria Bacillus anthracis. Now, what are the symptoms of anthrax? You see that the animal that is affected by this, that is the cattle, the pigs, the cows, sheep, goats, you begin to see that blood oozes, okay, from the animals. In fact, you just notice that the animal dies suddenly, and when the animal dies, you start to see blood oozing out from the nose, from the mouth, from the anus of the animal. That is the symptom. Sudden death is inevitable. So once that is noticed, the animals that are affected must be immediately removed, okay, from the rest of the animals, and the others must be vaccinated immediately. And the next on our list is brucellosis. Brucellosis. Yes, another word for brucellosis is contagious abortion. Contagious abortion. It is caused by the bacteria. It is caused by the bacteria Brucellosis. It is caused by the bacteria Brucella abortus. Brucella abortus. Now, what is the basic symptom here? The basic symptom of this disease is the animals, they miscarry. That is miscarriages. They don't get to carry their pregnancy till the time of delivery. The animal miscarries, or there's miscarriages, okay? And of course, once at the onset of the disease, you start to see the animal wobbles. The animal doesn't. In fact, the gait, you just notice that the gait of the animal is dancing left, right, left, right. The gait starts to change, and before you know it, if the animal is pregnant, it just goes wah, the baby drops. And of course, like I said, quarantine the animal, seclude the animal away from the rest, and vaccinate the animal, vaccinate all the other animals. And this is our third in the list of bacterial diseases, tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is a disease of not just not just the cattle. Tuberculosis is a disease also of poultry. It's a disease of cattle, the pigs, the goats, the sheep, the turkeys. In fact, it spreads across the various farm animals. And how do you know, or what are the symptoms of tuberculosis? When an animal is affected by tuberculosis, you see that the animal begins to have difficulty in breathing, and the animal is constantly coughing and probably, even sneezing. Okay, so, and if that is not taken care of, it could lead to the death of the animal. Now, the next on our list is fungal diseases caused by the agent fungi. The first is aspergillosis, and the second is ringworm. Okay, both diseases are a little bit similar. Aspergillosis is marked by skin irritations on the animals, while ringworm is marked by skin irritations on the animals also. However, aspergillosis is a disease that is common to both poultry and cattle, and is also accompanied by high temperature, okay, and loss of body weight. Ringworm does not come with loss of body weight, it does not come with fever, okay, and ringworm is not a disease of poultry. Aspergillosis is a disease of poultry and cattle. Ringworm is a disease of cattle, the pigs, the rabbits, the goats, the sheep, okay, and both of them, like I said earlier, is marked by skin irritations. You see, okay, spots on the skin. The ringworm especially, you see round, okay, things. Now, how do you take care? You see round rashes. How do you control these diseases? You can take a razor blade, something sharp, and scrape the surface of the rash, okay, and apply sulfur mixed with Vaseline, okay, sulfur mixed with Vaseline, and apply it on those spots where you have the rashes. It will take care of it. And always remember vaccination, okay, and seclusion of affected animals. The last on our list of diseases is the protozoa diseases, okay, caused by the agent protozoa. Now, the first disease is trypanosomiasis, and the second is coccidiosis. Now, the next on our list is trypanosomiasis and coccidiosis, and these are protozoan diseases. Trypanosomiasis is caused by tsetse fly. Okay, trypanosomiasis is caused by tsetse fly, and it's basically a disease of cattle. Now, when a cattle is affected by trypanosomiasis, you start to see that the cattle becomes dull. The cattle becomes dull. The cattle, when it is moving, you see that the movement is not coordinated. The cattle may, get quickly tired and just stays to sleep, and that could pose a problem to the rest of the herd. Always seclude the cattle and try to get rid of the tsetse fly. If the tsetse fly is in the bush around the cattle, you can cut down the trees, you can cut down the bushes, you can possibly burn the bushes so that the tsetse flies will leave that environment, or you can take the cattle away from that environment and then vaccinate. The last disease here is coccidiosis. Coccidiosis is a disease of poultry. Now, when a poultry is affected by coccidiosis, you start to see that these animals begin to drop their feathers. That is, their feathers start to drop for no just reason. Okay, you start to see the feathers twisting and then dropping, and then the stool becomes watery, you know, and the poultry can die also, can lead to sudden deaths of the poultry, of the animals. Okay, so how do we control this? Simple. Remove the affected animals and vaccinate. Now let's take a quick look again at the various diseases. Okay, we have four various types of diseases, four basic types of diseases: the viral diseases, the bacterial diseases, the fungal diseases, and the protozoa diseases. And what are the causative agents? The viral disease is caused by virus, bacterial disease is caused by bacteria, fungal disease caused by fungi, and protozoa disease caused by protozoa. And of course, these are the various diseases under the major subheadings of the diseases. Okay, the viral disease, you have the foot and mouth disease, you have the rinderpest or cattle plague, you have Newcastle. And bacterial disease, you have anthrax, you have brucellosis, you have tuberculosis. The fungal disease, you have aspergillosis, you have ringworm, and then the last, which is protozoa diseases, you have trypanosomiasis and you have coccidiosis. What I forgot to mention about coccidiosis is that once it starts, you begin to see the poultry, the birds, they begin to cluster around themselves. They start to rub body, you know, they start to join body. You see them in clusters, okay, in groups, and of course the feathers keep dropping on and on. So that's for diseases. We'll now go on to look at parasites. Now we are looking at the topic livestock parasites. What do we mean when we say parasites? Parasites are simply organisms that live off their hosts. A parasite can live inside the host. A parasite can live outside the host, that is, on the body of the host. When a parasite lives within the body of the host, that parasite is called endoparasite. Endoparasite. Parasites that live inside the host, feed and live inside the host is called what? Endoparasites. And we have examples like the tapeworm. The tapeworm is Taenia solium. We have liver fluke. We have roundworm. We have ascaris. All these parasites live inside the body of the host. The tapeworm especially is found within the intestinal region of the host. You see them, they attach to the intestines of their hosts. Okay, a major carrier of the tapeworm is the pig. How do you control tapeworm in pig? You simply deworm the pigs using piperazine. Okay, mind you, the tapeworm is hermaphroditic. Okay, that is to say that it has both the male and the female organs of reproduction within within itself, that is within the organism, within the tapeworm. It has both the male and the female organs of reproduction. That is to say that the tapeworm can fertilize itself. That is to say that the tapeworm can fertilize itself. Okay? Ectoparasites, we have examples: tick, lice, and mite. Now these parasites, like I explained earlier, live on the body of their hosts. That is to say that you can actually handpick them off their host. You can also decide to control these parasites by dipping the animal in insecticides or by spraying them with insecticides or pesticides. Okay, and by so doing you rid them of these ectoparasites. Now let us quickly look at methods of disease prevention. We have 6 of them here on the board. We have quarantine, we have vaccination, we have hygiene, we have good feeding, we have rotational grazing, and we have isolation. Isolation of the farm animals that are affected by diseases. Quarantine, when new animals enter into the farm house, okay, these new animals should be kept separately, where they will be studied, where they will be evaluated, where they will be checked, okay, by the farmer to ensure that they are not carrying diseases before they are introduced into the rest of the farm or into the rest of the animals. That way the farmer will be able to check the animals, okay, for any signs of abnormality. Vaccination, as the name implies, the animals should be constantly vaccinated. You don't have to wait for the animals to get sick before they are vaccinated. They can be vaccinated against diseases, okay, such that they could become resistant to even the attacks of certain pathogens, that is, disease-causing agents. Pathogens are disease-causing agents. Now, hygiene, proper hygiene must be maintained in the farmhouse, else you would be exposing your animals to diseases. Good feeding. Don't deny your animals good feeding. Just the way you like good food, that's the same way animals like good food too. And each animal has its kind of food. So you will make sure that you provide your animals with good food to prevent the onset of diseases. Rotational grazing. Take cattle for instance. Take cattle for instance. You do not get the cattle to keep grazing at the same place. What if that place is prone to diseases? So the cattle keeps going there and keeps contracting those diseases, and that keeps spreading. So the best thing to do is the cattle grazes here today, or the cattle grazes here today, the next day you take them somewhere else, the next day you take them somewhere else, you know, before you come back to that same place again. You just keep rotating it like that, and that way the cattle can be you can avoid your cattle contracting diseases. Another method here is isolation. As soon as that very diseased livestock is spotted, what do? You quickly isolate it. Okay, isolate it, give it a different space, a different bedding, different environment, and you give it constant care. And remember, under hygiene, the beddings of the animals must be constantly changed. The beddings of the animals under hygiene You will keep changing. You don't leave, for instance, the litter of the animal. You don't leave it for too long, and the animal keeps going there, defecating, you know, and urinating there, and before you know it, it contracts disease. Okay, so the bedding must be changed constantly. And with that, we come to the end of the topic, principles of animal health management. In this topic, we have considered the meaning and causes of livestock diseases. We've also looked at the factors that could be responsible for diseases. Remember, we mentioned that disease is the abnormal functioning, okay, the abnormal functioning or any condition that brings about, or that any condition that brings about an abnormality to the normal functioning of the system, the organs, the tissues, the body of an animal. Okay, that is disease. So there is a deviation from the norm, from the normal functioning of these animals. We say the animal is diseased. And then we looked at various diseases. We looked at viral diseases caused by virus, bacterial disease caused by bacteria. Under viral disease, we saw the foot and mouth disease. We saw Newcastle disease. Under bacterial disease, we saw anthrax, we saw brucellosis. Brucellosis, which is contagious abortion, where the animal constantly aborts its pregnant or miscarries its pregnancy. We saw fungal disease. We looked at fungal disease. Okay, yes, under fungal disease, we saw the ringworm. We talked about the ringworm. We talked about aspergillosis, which are both of them are irritations on the skins of the animals. Okay, and remember, like we explained, the aspergillosis is for the cattle, while the ringworm, the aspergillosis is for the cattle and the poultry, while the ringworm is for the cattle alone, including rabbits and pigs. And then we saw protozoa diseases, where we looked at trypanosomiasis and coccidiosis. And then we looked at livestock parasites, and we said that parasites are organisms that live inside the host, okay, or outside the host. Two things: organism, host. The organism that lives inside the host is called endoparasite, while the one that lives on the host is called ectoparasites. And examples, we saw tapeworm for the endoparasite, we saw the roundworm, the ascaris, and the liver fluke. For the other parasite, which is ectoparasite, that's the one that lives on the animal, we saw the tick, the lice, the mite. And then we also looked at methods of prevention of diseases. With that, we come to the end of this topic. A few questions will be displayed on your screen. Do well to attempt them, and for clarifications, you can replay the video as many times as you will.